Right, so welcome back to Adventure 82. Today we find ourselves on Midland High Moor, which is slightly just off of Pen Hill, which is over in that direction. We're here to look at an abandoned quarry. So the quarry's here in Pen Hill, Midland High Moor area. Most of them haven't been used since 1910, but a few of them still exist in bits and pieces and remnants here, there and about. So we're going to have a look at what's left of the one on Midland High Moor. This way. Right, so if you're familiar with me, you'll know I've done a couple of these kind of quarry areas before. I did Best Brazil Smelt Mine in Yorkshire, which is up near Grinton. I've done a few others. It's the first time I've done like an abandoned one that's not out in the middle of nowhere. Well, to me anyway, it's not in the middle of nowhere. So this is actually part of a farmer's field, which is why there's probably see the roof there of a digger popping up. But we're having a good explore because at the moment at least, he's not using this section of the field. There's no animals or anything here. We're not disturbing anything. As always, we're just here to look and leave footprints. You can see how they've been chiseled away at these rocks. And you can see once upon a time there would have been a building here. This is the first mine I've come across, / quarry, that I can't seem to find any information on it. When I did the one for Grinton, I found quite a lot of it. When I did the one for, I did another one, can't remember the name of it, but I did another one up near Muka, and that one was quite cool too. But Mucka, sorry, is how you pronounce it, my apologies. And that was quite a good one too, but nothing on this one. That said, there's a lot more remnants of here. You can see here where the fittings were once bolted on, and you can see bits of iron as well stuck in the floor. So this was clearly a building, and you can see where the wooden sections were put inside here to line it. This is reinforced concrete, so I'm guessing this must be one of the few that was open after 1901. But I wonder what was mounted there. Come over here, we've got more mounting points over here, look. Look at this. It's really quite extensive. Have a look over this side in a moment. It's a pretty cool place to explore. So, as I try and figure out a way down this slope without killing myself, because I'm one-handed, so if I slip, I'm not going to be able to catch myself. Because somebody decided to do his exploring again in the middle of a field in trainers. No prizes for guessing who that was. But look at that. Now, minus the earthwork, which is obviously the farmer, and this is quite muddy, you can see, so I can't go any further than that. You can see the veins where they've been chiseling away, and then they're kind of taking chunks of rock off, which is quite cool. That's really boggy, that section, actually. The rest of this is really dry, really hard. But that corner, for some reason, just isn't. It's really, really soft and boggy. I would say almost borderline soaked, because the mud looks almost liquid. But you can see here that there's definitely some earthwork going on here at the moment. I'm guessing that's the farmer doing some stuff for his, I think this is a sheep farm. I saw a big lump of fluff. There's another little bit there on the grass actually. So I'm guessing this is a sheep farm. Let's go have a look at this bit. Right, so give you a bit of context of what we're looking at, because obviously, like I said in the video already, you know, there's not an awful lot on Midland High Moor as a location, let alone its quarry. So if you look on the current map here, because we're on side-by-side maps, you can see here this what's now the big horse track here, which is popular with horse riders and trainers alike. It's just labelled on the old map as Midland High Moor. It's just a common grass area at the moment. This map dates 1888 to 1915. So if we zoom into where we are, so at the moment we're here, and you can see there it says Limekiln Hill on the old map, Quarry Old Limekiln. Now, like I say, this is dated 1915. This particular quarry, as with the Penhill Quarry, a lot of them stopped roundabouts, give or take a couple of years, 1910. This one, as I found out, not long after it was stopped, was turned into a horse racing track, which is still there. But there was much more to it than that. And there's a building left there, which I'll refer to later on in the video, which I thought was to do with the quarry, and we end up finding out that's also to do with horses. But you can see here that building is also here at this point. So that's been there for quite some time. However, if we take the old map and we go back in time a bit further, back into the 1880s, 1840s, you can see here, this is a very different story. So this is the same area we're in now, and you can see there's 1, 2, 3 lime kilns on this spot. One's like right over here in what's now grass field, if you look. There's a quarry, and this is now called Limekiln Hill. Interestingly, you'll note that the building is still there here. So I'm guessing at some point maybe the inside of the building was repurposed, because it is very much looks like kind of like a stable thing now, but back then I don't know. And you can see here what's now known as Midland High Moor, back then is Midland Common. There's no sign of the horse racetrack yet, so this area has changed a lot over the last, well, if I'm honest, probably the last 100 or 150 plus years. But that's just to give you some context to what we're looking at. But back to me here at the Limekiln area. Also, as a side note, I tried to walk through this bit. That was interesting. We'll find out about that later on. But yeah, back to me on Midland High Moor. Right, so you can see here from the rubble that's been dug up, there's piping and stuff, so definitely buildings there were here. And there's clearly a lot of stuff going on up here. I wonder how much of this was building beforehand. So you can even see the roof slats. So yeah, there's been a lot of stuff removed from here. And you can see here, look, again, all this is just what kind of remains. You can see how neatly, because this probably would have started at least being mined by hand. And they're cutting these bits out quite impressively neatly for hand, probably painstakingly actually, to be honest. So you can see how the rock face has been formed by the work that's been done to it. Now there's a building that remains, which is part of the history of the moor, which is slightly further down. We'll go have a look at that after as well. But this is absolutely stunning. Farmer's been having a fire here. Get rid of all his rubbish. That's a really, well, the grand scheme of things, not that high, but high enough. Cliff face, rock rock face. So back in the day, obviously when they were mining these would have either been hand chiseled out in blocks, or if it didn't matter what the size of the blocks were, it would be a case of making holes and digging your way in by drilling holes, sticking dynamite in. It's like dynamite, stand back, wait for the explosion and go on. Obviously not literally stand there and light the dynamite with a match. They had like a, almost like the cartoon style plungers you would use to trigger the dynamite, but this would have been a hive of activity once upon a time. And now it just kind of stands silent here on the moors. It's stunning to look at these things. Now I know there's probably going to be some of you that turn this off. Oh, this is goddamn boring, and that's fine. Obviously, you know, you're not going to like every video I make, and I appreciate that. But I find this kind of stuff so mesmerising, the fact that something that would have had so many people probably bustling backwards and forwards, caking stone and stuff all day, and then just kind of fall silent. Now the only people who spend a regular amount of time here are the sheep. I also find it kind of interesting the way Mother Nature manages to make use of these things. I mean, look at the way that this tree is literally just growing out of the side of the rock face. And the same for that one too. She takes back what you take from her as quick as you take it away, if not quicker, to be fair. And like some of the ways these have been carved out, they have to have been taken out in like block forms at some point here, because look, that's almost like a staircase up there. And then we've got, what have we got here? We've got, well, that would have been a support pillar, which would have been either for a door maybe, or a window. I wonder if there's any dates, because quite often these kind of things would have had dates or whatever written on them. No, there's nothing written on that, but you can see that side would have been on the inside. So it's these sides that would have been, as you can see, weathered and were out in the elements. But the weather out here isn't brilliant now either. So being out here and doing this in the middle of winter, back in the day, must have been an absolute nightmare. Got some roof lining there, so that'll be more recent. I have the utmost respect for the men who came out here and did this in all weathers. You know, I mean, a lot of the buildings out here where I am anyway, in the North Yorkshire Dales, they're still the buildings that you live in now, are the ones that were built from stone that were chiselled out from these quarries that haven't functioned for like 100+ years. So even me, like the house we live in now is dated 1700. So the stone from that almost certainly came from quarries like this that probably weren't too far away. I say weren't too far away, they don't seem that far away now. You know, this is probably about a 20-minute drive. Back in the day when they were carting this by horse and cart, or however they got it there, that would have been a lot more effort involved and a lot more manual labour than just load it on a lorry and send it down the road. So I'm living in that house now, and you think that house is built with stone that's, what? It's at least now 500 years old, if not more. And that probably came from maybe here, one of the Pen Hill quarries we haven't looked at yet, back up there. My appreciation for those people is immense. I mean, there's so many people out here who just wouldn't have their farm wall to their houses if it wasn't for those people who were out here in all weathers chiseling up stones. I mean, look at some of the size of some of these stones that they've clearly like chiseled out, but then these ones just haven't been used. Look at the size of that. So these would be taken out in chunks like that. They'd either be used like that, depending on what they're being used for, or they'd be hand cut down into smaller blocks. But you can see all the fault lines from here on this wall. It's quite easy to see. And they would have used those fault lines as, well, they would have exploited those fault lines, the best way to put it, as a way to make it easier to get the rock off. Because it was a hard enough job without making it even harder. But look at that. Right, we shall now go have a look at this building and see what else there is to explore, because between here and the building up there, which was also part of this, there's a little walkway that comes out the back of this field and goes up the back through the woods. So a quarry, nature walk. Sounds like a good video to me. Right, so we're now in a stunning little woodland. Look at this. Well, it's completely silent. I say that, and if I'm honest, there may be one thing wrong with this video. Me. See, I forgot. As I always forget something. I forgot to take my inhalers before we left. So, as a result, I have a sneaking suspicion I may be ruining some of this with heavy breathing. Hopefully not. But if I am, I apologise. Getting across here might be interesting because there's no, it's a public woodland, so like it's fine, but there's no specific path, and that's, the camera is level so you can see the slope, so you need to find a way through. You can see an old wall there actually, so I don't know how far out the quarry used to come. I'm also making sure I don't walk in holes, because see, there's little holes like that everywhere, and in this kind of greenery you don't know where they are, because this is prime rabbit country, so the holes will be like that literally anywhere. But yeah, once I get off this slope and I get onto some more level ground, I'll come back. Right, so this is the building in question. Now, as I said, I don't know much about this or the quarry we've just looked at, because there's not an awful lot in information about it. Also, hopefully, me filming this way for the rest of the video will hopefully reduce you having to listen to my heavy breathing, because I'm a stupid idiot and forgot to take my inhalers. But there is an information board here next to this building, so I'll have a look at that first, which may give us some context about this building and what we've just looked at. Also, on a side note, that gate you saw me go through before, don't go through that gate. It's nice, it's a lovely little woodland as you saw in the clip, but once you get past that little like old-fashioned wall I pointed out, it's almost impossible to walk on. It's covered in flowers and stuff, and it's really, really slippy. There's no specific path, and by all accounts, I had to backtrack like a plum and then walk back round the long way. The things you do when you're adventuring, and most of it's just like looking like a plum while you learn what you're doing as you go about. Anyway, information board next, right? Right, so said information board is here. So, it says welcome to Midland High Moor. The building of the rubbing house, which is that building we just saw just now, was the initiative of 9 racehorse owners who trained raced in Midland in the early 19th century. Okay, so that's an old racehorse building. In 1820, this group set up a fund confident that at moderate expense, the 2 moors could be made into the best training grounds in North England. So what we're looking at here then is a combination of a quarry over where we were before, and then this building, which is the remnants of an old rubbing house, which is to do with the race course across the way there. Right, so let's have a look at the building then. So this is the old rubbing houses in question. So I'm not 100% sure what a rubbing house is. If I remember correctly, isn't that to do with like massaging the horse and things and getting them ready to do their race? You can see this hasn't been used for a long time. You can see how it's split up. So you would have had 4 separate horses in here. You've got rhubarb there by the looks of it. Is that rhubarb? Maybe rhubarb. And then next door we've got the next one. Right, so this is being used now just for storage of bits and pieces, either by the race course or the farmer just down there where the quarry is. I'm not sure which one of them's using it, but one of them clearly is. Right, so you hear that? Don't know what that is, but I heard that noise. When did I hear it? Down the quarry there. There was a little, like, one of the bigger cuts in the quarry wall. I'm making that noise. See, look, listen, it's in this side too, so it must be in like the wall or something. Is that bats, maybe? They're living in like the roof space behind the wall or something, maybe? Who knows? But yeah, this is all storage now. So that's an old rubbing house.
Rubbing house, by the way.
Yeah.
After a race, they come here.
Sorry, wait. If you're going to talk to people, at least let them hear you. A rubbing house is?
After a race.
Yeah.
Yeah. They come to one of these. Not
Right.
this one now, obviously.
Yeah.
And it's to get them loads of new blankets and stuff on them and their sweat scraped off and all that kind of stuff.
Right, so it's like a horse health spa?
Yeah.
Wow. There were like really, really poor people in the Victorian times that got ignored and got nothing. And then these guys are coming in and basically having a bloody luxury weekend for horses.
Well, they weren't. Yeah, but in them times, they were whipped and stuff horrendously. There weren't no rules for horses. If a horse collapsed and it was just left to die, wasn't it?
Yeah, actually, now you actually say it that way, I reckon the horses were probably quite confused. Why are you being nice to me and then also whacking me at the same time?
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. Confusing. Right, so, pardon me. Right, down there is the woodland. You can see my problem. I was way down there. And there was no way to come up here. None whatsoever. I doubt there ever has been. So, yeah, we had to double back, which is a bit of a menace, but hey ho. So, looks like this was slightly longer than it is now. I wonder what this end was for, because it's a different shape to the rest. Right, so this building hasn't turned out to be quite as interesting as I'd hoped, which is annoying. Right, so that's the thing about adventures, you never know quite how they're going to pan out. I think it's been quite cool though. And the view over the racehorse course is absolutely stunning, which Eric has shown you already. But yeah. I have to say though, my highlight from this particular part of the mall, look at Pen Hill in the sunshine. We're going up there this summer. I guarantee it. There's like about 20 million quarries up there I want to explore. There's so many things up there. And the plan is at the moment to pick up the wild camping tent sometime in the next couple of months. I'm hoping next month, if not the month after. And the Pen Hill Explore will also be our first wild camp. That's what I'm hoping to do. That's why I've been delaying it so long. But we'll see. Right, so that's today's adventure. I think it started off really, well no, I know it started off really well with the quarry. Went a bit downhill with the rubbing house, but it's interesting to find out what one was, because I've learnt something new. If you missed last week's video, just not interested in cars, meet the Adventure 80 T-Mobile. It's a 1995 Isuzu Trooper, and it's much better built for this than my current car. However, it has an extra seat and a winch, so if I get stuck, I can get unstuck. Is there anything more manly than a truck with a winch? I ask you. But yeah, no, on a side note, it's got a couple of bad bits still left. If you watched last week's video, you'll have seen some of the trip up there and bringing it home, and you'll have seen me cleaning it out. It's now been and had a wash on the outside. I'm still waiting for the bits to come down to the next part of the video to fix it up. But today I'm taking it down to a gentleman to go and have a look at some of the little bits and pieces that need fixing. Like this little hole down here. And there's some rust on the two-wheel arches, which I showed in the other video. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get in it and go home. And I'll see you guys next week. Have a lovely week. And thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves. Bye. Right, can you use mine?